想視覚された刺激が特殊なリズムになって感染症のように熱を帯び叫ぶクモリがそれは目当たりの空のような奇跡ぬくもりの意味その正面微細なことさえ信じる力になって次の瞬間何かが砕け落ちた時を超えてもしもの不可欠なその存在僕らきっと小さすぎて今も言葉にさえもできないけれど水とガスのその絶版いくつものぬくもりがに押し寄せるこの涙もう迷いはない
All right. Let's just finish up the chapter that we were in the middle of yesterday or the other day.
皆様方
It's gonna be longer than 20 minutes. All right, so it's 11:19 right now, motherfuckers. It will be longer than 19 minutes. 2 chapters? No, motherfucker! It's 11. It's 11.
お待ちしてましたよ
Sachiko acted like she was upset, but I could tell that she was pleased to see them just the same.
さとこが可愛いのですよそこが飽きないのよ可愛すぎる
Satoko's behavior soothes my feelings of frustration. This is why I love Satoko. If she was a small fluffy animal, I would definitely keep her in a cage. What the fuck?
さとこちゃんリカちゃんおはようおはようございますなのです
おはようリカちゃんさとこ警察が来る前にケリをつけるぞ目標は10億強奪だ
圭一さんの話が分かりませんわ遅くなったかなリカちゃんたちは今来たの今日は早く終わったのでだいぶ待ってましたですよ
Miona and Rena know that Satoko gets a checkup every Sunday at the clinic.
そりゃ悪いことしたわ
Oh, my back.
こっちはケイちゃんがなかなか来なくてさ
That Keiichi. So he's the reason they're always
圭
late.
一では仕方ありませんですよニパー
Nipa.
ちょい待て俺が悪役になれば丸く収まるのかよ
もちろん
Hmm.
圭一さんでなくては務まらない大役でしたよ
実に嫌な大役だなこんなので丸く収まると思ったら大間違いだぞ
Keiichi and Satoko messed around with each other. Satoko acted like she was crying, and Rena punched Keiichi, knocking him out cold. It was the same old situation they always got into. I can watch this sort of thing forever. It's like having a glass of cold milk after taking a hot bath.
やっぱりこれが正しい丸い収め方
前歯が欠ける前に新しいオチを探した方がいいと思うけどね
We laughed at him and finished greeting each other.
今日もみんなとっても元気なのです 元気に勝る宝はないわね。そんなこと言ってるとリカはどんどん老け込んじゃいますのです。うるさいな。誰のせいだと思ってんのよ。当分甘いものを食べるのやめるわよ。
Hanyu seemed to be getting more depressed than usual. I should stop teasing her so much.
嘘よ。冗談だからあんまりひっつかないで。ごめんなさいなのです。
Hanyu loves sweet treats. She especially loves cake and ice cream. Since she can't eat anything, she has to depend on me when it comes to that. In other words, whatever I eat, Hanyu can taste too. Even if Hanyu craves something, it doesn't mean anything if I don't eat it. In other words, I have total control of what she eats. That's why it's fun to tease her with saying what I'll eat and what I won't. It's almost as fun as teasing Satoko.
リカちゃんは今日もご機嫌だね。お持ち帰り。
はいはい、お持ち帰ったら犯罪だからね。
ミオン、店のおじさんが呼んでるぜ。
リカ、聞きまして。今日の部活、賞金が出るんだそうですのよ。
I remember. Mion was going to be paying 50,000 yen out of her pocket as a prize. I couldn't believe she could just afford that. Therefore, I have to assume that she has some kind of guarantee that she won't lose.
なんと5万円でしたよ。5万円。
Satoko stared at me. Oh no. She was expecting me to be surprised to hear that the prize was 50,000 yen. It's natural to be surprised after hearing that sum, but I didn't react because I already knew it. Perhaps I gave the impression that I've known it for a long time.
ケイチさん、5万円なんてすごい賞金と思いませんですこと？
5万円？なんだよそれ。ケイチ王国の5年分の GNP に匹敵するぞ。
Satoko said the same thing to Keiichi. She probably assumed that I wasn't listening to her, so she decided to talk to Keiichi instead.
小さなミスよ。大丈夫。5万円もあればもうずっと使い切れないくらいのお醤油が買えますです。なんで5万円分もお醤油を買わないといけないんですの。お醤油を買ってきてと言ってもめんどくさがる人がいるからなのですよ。ミパー。リカって結構根に持ちますのね。
5万円分の醤油って一体どのくらいだよ。すげえ量になりそうだな。
Keiichi joined the conversation, which finally brought us back to our normal pace. In order to pursue a greater happiness, I need to sacrifice a smaller one. In a perfect world, Rika Furude was supposed to be surprised to hear from her best friend that the prize was 50,000 yen. But I already knew that. I knew it from the previous life, so all I could do was bring her a boring reaction, or give her a boring reaction. I can't be surprised at the big prize of 50,000 yen. I can't give her the reaction that she expects from me. I'm losing the ability to be surprised by life. And after the continual repetition of small incidents like this, there will be nothing left that I find interesting. I'll have nothing to be surprised about. I'll never be impressed with anything. Eventually, I lose my emotions entirely. That's why I'm always trying to be careful. I make sure I act like Rika Furude, who doesn't know anything. Even though I may not be impressed as a young girl, Rika Furude should be impressed with many things. Rika Furude is supposed to act excited when she encounters something for the first time. I try to, at least. But the more and more I try, the more I feel like Rika Furude is someone very distant.
リカ、ごめん。こういうことで感情を灰色にするとまた寿命が縮んじゃうわね。世界をもっと楽しまなきゃ。
I don't mean my lifespan literally. I'm not referring to my physical lifespan, but my mental one. The more and more I repeat the same days, the more I lose. From wonder to passion, and eventually my life will become like an overplayed videotape. If I'm tired of that tape, I have a choice to close my eyes and sleep. By the time I wake up, the video should be over. But in reality, my life is not a beat-up, old videotape. If I close my eyes and sleep, that would be my death. When my mental lifespan is over, Rika Furude will turn into a doll who can't even move a finger by her own will. When that happens, my pursuit of happiness will be over. I don't want that to happen. It's been at least 100 years, if not more. I've been stuck in this living hell for so long. I don't want my life to end
ごめ
here.
ん。もう大丈夫。100年程度で愚痴ってたら、あんたに笑われちゃうものね。僕はもう運命に慣れていますのですから。よし。大丈夫。私はフルでリカ。私はフルでリカ。
If I don't stay focused on being Rika Furude, I'm afraid I might end up showing my true self inside of that shell. Rika Furude is supposed to be cute and innocent little girl after all.
レナだったら5万円で何を買いますですか？ケンタくん人形とか売ってもらえないのかな？フライドチキン屋さんに5万円持ってったら売ってくれないかな？はあ、その5万円で鎖を切る工具と第8車を買った方が早いと思いますです。レナさんだったら素手で鎖を引きちぎりかねませんわね。
違いない違いない。
はあ、ひどい。
Thus, we rejoin the typical flow of conversation naturally. Once I enter that flow, it's not hard for me to continue as Rika Furude. Being Rika Furude is like flying a kite for me. Once it's up in the air, it can stay in the sky for a while. But if something happens and it loses control, it's one heck of a challenge to get it back on track. Every time it tries to get back up in the air, that kite gets dragged on the ground and wears out. I'm exactly like that. Has Rika ever bothered to just like fully break character and just say whatever the fuck and just like go crash out? Like, I mean, she knows the world's gonna fucking just reset anyways, so why not? I already knew the rules. The members will be broken into 5 different groups, and each group plays a game that they choose. She did that on the last chapter, though? Yeah, I wish we saw more of that. I was secretly hoping that Mion would change the rule for some reason. There's nothing more boring than to already know what was going to
ミオンの
happen.
部活って割と気まぐれなことが多いもの。ひょっとするとルールは違うこともあるかも。普段ならそういうこともあると思いますですが、今日はきっと何日も前から計画していたことだと思うのです。強い意志は運命になりやすいだったわね。
Normally, when we're doing club activities, Mion decides what to play at the last minute. She opens her locker and randomly decides what game to play. For that reason, our club activities are rarely repeated throughout my lives. That's why I'm never bored with them. But just as Hanyu said, today's event was something that Mion had been planning for a while. It was certain she wouldn't suggest anything spontaneous today. In that case, this won't be up to a random chance. Mion had only one idea in her mind, therefore it was equivalent to destiny. Although her idea of having this event in the Toy Story is actually a spontaneous one, and all the lives are repeated, there's a very low chance for this event to occur.
だからあまりそういうの
Rika's
は
like
期
shiny
待しない
hunting,
方が
low
いい
key.
のです。期待してるわけじゃないわ。
Of course, I was lying just now. I was hoping that Mion would suggest a new rule for this game. Why is Hanyu transparent? Because only Rika could see her. If it was the same rules again, I'd be suffering for a few minutes while I listen to her instructions. Nothing is more frustrating than walking the same path over and over again. Please, Mion. Please change my fate, please.
まずはくじ引きで5つの卓に分かれるよ。そして各卓から1人の勝者を出して。
It was the same rules
ごめん。
after all.
ちょっと期待した。 変な期待はかえってリカを傷つけますですよ。そうね。何度も教えられてるのに私も学ばないわね。
Hanyu has taught me so many times. She taught me the trick to swimming in a flow of destiny. The flow of destiny is just like a river's. By going with the flow, I can swim the direction I want to some extent, but of course, trying to swim against the flow requires great effort. Allowing myself to drift causes the least amount of strain. Of course, some strong currents are impossible to resist, even with great effort. If I recklessly try to resist without realizing it's impossible, then I'll only wear myself out needlessly, just as if fighting a river's current. So Hanyu taught me to read those currents, which is why I should have easily imagined that the rules would be the same the moment I learned Mion had planned today's event in advance. Yet I still wish the rules would be different, a completely wasteful action. In the end, my hopes were betrayed, only leaving my heart worn out. And things like that caused me to separate further from Rika Furude. Eventually, I'll grow tired of everything, lose all interest, and die.
抗えない運命は受け入れる。リカなら運命の流れを読むことができますですよ。そうよね。ただでさえ短い残りの寿命、大事にしないとね。
I sighed and pretended as though I was listening to what Mion was explaining.
どうしたんだリカちゃん、退屈なのか？
Keiichi surprised me all of a
退
sudden.
屈って僕がですか？
He said never happened before, so I thought he was talking to someone else. But it seemed like Keiichi really was talking to me.
なんか今朝は会ってからずっと退屈そうな顔をしてるからさ。ひょっとして早起きしすぎて寝不足なのか？
前に同じ部活をやったことがあるので、またなのかと思っただけなのです。
No one would understand what I mean anyway, but Keiichi might, and so I told him how I honestly felt.
なんだそうなのか？
Wait, what if he says me too?
なんだミオンめ、
Oh, never mind.
道理で手慣れてると思ったぜ。まあ俺は初めての参加だから十分楽しみだけどな。
I envied him for feeling that way. I sighed knowing that I never will.
確かにすでに知ってる説明を延々と繰り返されると苦痛な時ってあるよな。俺も昔塾で学校のだいぶ先まで習っててさ、遅れて習う学校が苦痛だったことがあるよ。
Keiichi didn't understand me, but I'm glad that at least he understood how frustrating it was to repeat the same
そうなの
situation.
です。僕も学校は特に苦痛なのですよ。
え？本当かよ。いつも楽しそうにしてるじゃないかよ。
Rika Furude is supposed to be happy at school. That's why I acted that way.
すでに知っていることを延々と聞き続けなければならないのは拷問以外の何者でもないと思いますのです。
It's easy for me to change what Satoko cooks for dinner. I can simply volunteer to cook instead of her. But I can't change what the teacher teaches at school every day. I have no choice but to be quiet and listen to her lecture.
まあ授業はどうしようもないよな。俺はそこを塾で習ってますから、その次をやってくださいなんて生意気言ったらいろいろと怒られるもんな。でもこいつは違うぜ。遊びじゃないか。
遊びではありますが決まってるのですよ。
わかんねえぜ。だって5択に分かれるのはくじ引きだそうじゃないか。
He's giving her hope, bro.
しかもそれぞれの択で何のゲームをやるかは任意に決めることになってる。今日どんなゲームで戦わされてどんな展開で盛り上がるかなんか全然想像がつかねえぜ。
予想はつきますですよ。
そんなことねえよ。
Keiichi smiled as he contradicted me. That smile seemed so ignorant to me.
くじ引きで5択に分かれますですが、 部活メンバーはきれいに5択に分かれますです。圭一はあそこ、僕はそこの卓なのです。そして僕は魚釣りのゲームをすることになります。圭一はすごろくの100億長者ゲームなのです。
I don't know how, but last time we were broken into 5 separate groups. It couldn't have been a coincidence. I'm sure Mion did something to ensure it would end up like that. I'm 100% sure. As for the game we play, I'm not totally sure, but if each member in the group follows the same thinking pattern, they'll probably end up making the same choices. If you roll dice many times, you begin to approach the average. One person's spontaneous act can be random, but multiple people's thoughts can be averaged out for the most part. The more people that are involved, the more difficult it is to alter the path of fate. That's why I'm pretty sure that we'll end up playing the same games. Keiichi seems surprised to hear my
なんだよ
prediction.
それ、予言か？よくそこまで言い切れるじゃねえか。
運命とはそういうものなのです。
へへ、運命なんて言われるとよ、意地でも抗ってみたくなるのが男ってもんだよな。
He smiled at me again. I knew that he was just smiling without reason, but I felt a small hope from him. After all, Keiichi really did shatter fate before. But that was just a miracle that happened in my previous life. Couldn't expect him to do the same thing in this one. Otherwise, I would be worn down by my high expectations again.
はい、くじ引きはこの箱の中から1枚引いて決めよう。まず部活メンバーからね。
Mion drew first and Satoko followed. The results were the same as last time.
初戦で部活メンバーとは当たりたくねえな。もしリカちゃんと当たったらごめんよ。
当たりませんですよ。圭一の卓はあそこ、僕の卓はそこなのです。
ちぇ、そううまくいってたまるかよ。うりゃ。
Keiichi looked upset.
僕の予言は外れないのです。
5択の一つってことは 20% だもんな。適当に言ったってそれだけの確率で当たるってことさ。
Keiichi told me that it was just a coincidence.
なら僕のくじも予想通りだったなら何%の確率になりますですか？
20% の 20% だから 4% だな。さすがにこの確率だったら信じてもいいぜ。
Keiichi grinned at me, believing such a chance was impossible.
さあ、最後はリカちゃんだよ。
Mion handed me the box of slips. No matter what I did, I'd be getting that table. There was a reason behind it. Mion was doing something to make sure that we all got a different table. I thought about why Mion would do that. With the information I gathered about Mion over many years, I could see her reasoning.
多分ミオンは部活のメンバーの誰かが1回戦で負けてしまったら気の毒だと思っているのでしょう。そうね。同じ卓に部活メンバーがぶつかり合ったらどちらかのメンバーは必ず敗退することになる。
If everyone was in a different group, we'd all have a chance to move on to the second stage. That's why she was controlling this draw. I put my hand inside the box. I could feel several folded pieces of papers inside. But if you thought for a moment it was odd, no matter which one I choose, I'd never get any other table.
どういう仕掛けでリカを最後の卓へ送るようにしているのですか？さあ、それはミオンに聞かないとわからないわね。でも一つ言えるのは、多分この箱の中のどれを引いてもあの卓になると書いてあるはず。
I got it.
その箱の中には今同じくじしか入っていない？そういうことになるわね。多分ミオンの持つこの箱は何か細工がしてあるんでしょうね。
It's probably a box for a magic show or something. There could be some kind of gimmick inside the box and she can switch what's inside of it. Depending on who's drawing the paper, she change out the lots and control the results. I didn't know exactly how, but I was sure she was doing something. I didn't even need to know how she was doing it. The most important thing was why.
みー、どれにしようか迷いますです。
さあさあ、どれを選んでも運命は一緒だよ。
She knows. She was admitting it herself. I was certain then. Based on what I felt inside, there were less than 10 pieces of paper inside of this box. In other words, there were hidden pieces of paper that I couldn't touch somewhere inside the box. I smiled at Mion as I figured out a trick, but she had no clue why
で
I was
は
smiling.
これなのです。
はいよ、どれどれ。おお、すごいね。部活メンバーが全員きれいに分かれたよ。
Mion behaved as though this was news to her. She's such an actress. The other contestants made a dissatisfied noise. They'd have to face a club member no matter which table they got. Keiichi was surprised too, and not only because we were divided.
運命は決まっていることなのです。
I smiled at him in return. Keiichi was in denial for a moment, but then he smiled back at me.
25分の1の確率で当てるとはやるじゃねえか。
It was not. I predicted that Mion and Satoko would be at different tables, so the probability was even lower than that. Keiichi understood that. But normal people like him can't understand the meaning of fate. That's why he put it off as a coincidence. But Keiichi, what if my prediction is right about what game you'll be playing? The possibility will be 1 in billions. There are a lot of games in the store. What if that prediction is right too? Will he still believe it's just a coincidence? I stayed quiet in my seat and waited to see what game my group was going to decide on. They were going to choose a fishing game. I can't expect them to choose anything other than
期
that.
待して裏切られたらまた辛くなるものね。
One of the boys stood up. He walked toward the shelf full of games and picked up one in the box. He lifted the box above his head and turned around so he could show it to us. I closed my eyes as he did so, but I could still hear what he was saying.
見ろよ、これこれ。懐かしいよな。これにしねえか。
知ってるよそれ。魚がくるくる回って口をパクパクさせるのを釣るやつだろ。
I could taste the bitter chemicals from my brain in my mouth. What the fuck? I clenched my lips and tried to endure the numbing feeling.
ごめん。今日は体調が悪いのかしらね。なぜかうまく受け流せないわ。
It wasn't because I wasn't feeling well, of course. It was because of my emotions. Our powers are getting weaker and we can only rewind about 2 weeks of our lives. I was feeling that the end was near for us. In order for me to change my tragic fate, I need more time to prepare. But I can only go back 2 weeks. That means my power to resist my fate has significantly weakened. Even if I become as weak as a small leaf in the river, I should be able to do something in order to change my path. But if I can only go back to the point where I'm getting ready to be swallowed into a whirlpool, there's no chance for me to escape it. I lived for so long believing that I could eventually escape my fate and survive. I believed that I had a chance in every moment of every life I lived. But there are limits to those chances. There are so many limits in my repeated lives, and perhaps this might be my last chance. That may be why I'm feeling so
ダ
restless.
メです、リカ。難しく考えれば考えるほど心に良くないのです。分かってるわよ。ちょっと黙ってて。
My brain was numb as if surrounded by a gray mist. I was inside the crowded toy store, but felt very far away from everyone else. The tighter I closed my eyes and the harder I clenched my teeth, the emptier my head became. No, no, no.
リカしっかり。
As I tried to focus, I became conscious again. Anya looked at me with concern. I tend to lose my mind easily right after coming back from death. I usually have more time to relax and get used to my new life, but I have no time for that now. The Watanagashi festival is only 2 weeks away. I can't just relax and wait for myself to get used to things. Don't be a wimp, Rika. Don't be a wimp. Fight against fate. But even if I do, that fate always betrays me and I grieve. What if I did the opposite? What if I didn't fight against fate? A few weeks after the Watanagashi festival of 1983, I will die, because I am fated to do so. Fight. Don't fight. 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 Fight. Okay, alright, yep. As I repeated the same words, they started to lose all meaning. I felt like I was chanting something. I bit my tongue in my mind and forced myself to stop thinking about it. I was calming down a little bit. When I opened my eyes, I saw the fishing game right in front of me, as well as my pole. Someone placed it there while I had my eyes closed. It was as if I was seeing the immovable reality of fate right in front of me. It felt like a final verdict to me. What do you think, Keiichi? This is what fate is all about. Do I want to earn his agreement or his sympathy? I stood up and walked towards Keiichi's table. His group couldn't decide on a game, so the store owner was deciding for them. Just like the last time, the store owner will pick the game of life.
やっぱり相手の提案するゲームじゃ不利だもんな。なんて言って互いの提案を蹴り合うもんだからちっとも決まりゃしねえんだ。リカちゃんの方は決まったのか？
見ればわかりますですよ。
He looked at my table and saw the fishing game there. Keiichi was surprised to see that my prediction was right again. He also remembered that I predicted his game too.
マスターはリカちゃんの予言した100億長者ゲームを持ってくるっていうのかよ。
僕は時々予言もできますのですよ。リパー。
本当かよおい。よしよし。じゃあマスターが本当に100億長者ゲームを持ってきたなら信じてやるぜ。
そうです。圭一たちは100億長者ゲームで戦うことになりますです。
よしよし、そこまで言うなら勝負しようじゃねえか。あ、マスターを買収してあるなんてのはなしだぞ。
マスターが売れ残りのゲームを持ってこようと強く思っているなら必然の結果になりますのです。
I remember it was covered by dust when he gave it to them last time. Since we had to buy the game, if we lost, he was trying to sell products he had a surplus of. Therefore, he won't be choosing any game at random. He'll be looking for one with bad sales, with a strong will to do so. That will of his is going to make the pull of fate all stronger. Playing Boku no Pico again? I'm not! In that sense, there's no guarantee that he'll be choosing the game of life specifically. He might choose something else that's also overstocked. The owner finally reappeared with a box covered in dust.
ね、言った通りなのですよ。
He has a game of life box in his hands. Part of me that hoped it wouldn't be the game of life tasted bitterness at the betrayal, but the cynical part of me that expected it to happen found it amusing in a way. I felt like my personality was twisting more and more.
マスター、どうしてそのゲームを選んだんです？
ん？いやいや、本当に気まぐれだよ。倉庫の在庫から適当に探し出したのさ。決して売れ残りの一番傷んだやつを持ってきたわけじゃないんだよ。
Bullshit, motherfucker. We're onto your shit. When he heard that the owner chose the game randomly, Keiichi shrugged his shoulders in confusion. That must be his way of surrendering.
なあ、リカちゃん、これってマジの予言なのか？
リパ
いやさ、村のお年寄りにリカちゃんはお社様の生まれ変わりで神通力があるって力説されたことがあるんだよ。 未来の予言とかができてものすごい的中率だとかなんとか。それって本当なのか？
I was surprised that Keiichi actually believed the superstitious stories he heard from the elderly villagers.
決まっている運命を読むだけなのです。もっと言えば前に一度見てきた世界なのですから。
Oh my god, bro, she's fucking saying everything.
チェックソ。ここまで当てられちゃそんなバカなとも言えやしない。
Keiichi seemed like he was just fooling around. He probably only thinks I'm goofing around and acting haughtily because my random predictions all came true. I had hope for him. I thought the owner might bring a different game because Keiichi once had the power to change fate. But that didn't happen. I'm not surprised. But I felt betrayed again, huh? It
賭
hurts.
けは僕の勝ちなのですよ。
I speak to Keiichi sarcastically. I wanted him to understand that no one can change the path of fate. However, Keiichi did nothing but smile.
調子に乗るなよリカちゃん。運命を読めるなんていい加減なことを言っちゃいけないぜ。
はい。
男にとって宿命と運命という言葉はもっともっと尊くて熱い意味がこもってるんだ。そんなやすやすと読めるようなもんじゃねえ。
I had no idea what he was trying to say, but he made me nervous. It wasn't a scary feeling. No, it was closer to hope.
さっきリカちゃんはマスターが100億長者ゲームを持ってくることを運命だと言った。偶然であったとしても的中したのだからリカちゃんが正しいと言わざるを得ないさ。でもな、こうも言ったよな。
何ですか？
俺が100億長者ゲームで戦うことも運命だってな。
It was indeed his fate. Fate can change sometimes with uncertainty and time. But the possibility that it would change in this situation was very slight. I doubted that anything would turn out differently.
なら、その運命とやらを俺がぶち壊してやろうじゃないか。
Keiichi stood up in a hurry. Then he started talking to Tomita and Okamura, his group members.
すまん、俺100億長者ゲームは持ってるんだよ。だからルールの裏の裏まで知り尽くしてる。
Oh! That's cheating, Keiichi! You can't do that!
そうなんですか？
ああ。だからこのセレクトはフェアじゃないよな。マスター、申し訳ないんですけど、100億長者ゲームの隣に置いてあった他のゲームに変えてもらえませんか？
そうかい？わかったよ。じゃあ他のを持ってこよう。
The owner picked up the game of life again and took it back in storage. As I remained there in shock, he returned with a game called Pop-Up Pirate.
これならどうかな？
ああ、あの樽にナイフを刺すゲームですよね。
どうだよ二人とも。これならフェアだろ？
そうですね。ルールもわかりやすいし、それにしましょう。
じゃあ決まり。俺たちの卓はこれで勝負だ。
Keiichi winked at me, and I stood there with my mouth open. It looked like he was just had just forcefully changed my prediction. But for me, it's not that simple. It was supposed to be fate. That's why the owner brought the game of life to their table. They were supposed to play that game. That's what happened the last time. That's what was supposed to happen this time, or happen. But he just changed that fate in front of my eyes like it was nothing. It's as if someone asked me to stand on an egg on its end. And as I struggled to do so, Keiichi forcefully cracked the egg and made it stand in front of me. I should have had far greater power than Keiichi, but why was I feeling so weak? Was it because I wasn't trying to fight against fate so I wouldn't get hurt? Because I was going with the flow without trying to too hard? What was I thinking?
リカちゃんさ、さっきすっげえつまらなさそうな顔してたよな。それってあれだろ？魚釣りゲームじゃ嫌だなって不安が的中しちゃってふてくされてたんだろ？
そうね。今さら隠さない。
じゃあ簡単じゃないか。
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did he not hear her voice there? So I'm a witch who's been living for more than 100 years? So I thought I was better than everyone just because I could see the path of fate? That's stupid. I really am stupid. Keiichi tapped me on the back. He was urging me to return to my table. The sensation of his touch filled up my heart of emotion. I wasn't going to stand idly by anymore. I thought I couldn't cheat fate. I thought 2 weeks wasn't enough. But Keiichi just defied his fate in a matter of 5 minutes.
僕は魚釣りゲームはお魚さんがかわいそうだと思いますので、他のゲームにしたいのですよ。
But if they're just like, no, we're gonna still play it, Rika. Sorry. The other people at my table looked at me with a confused expression. Their reactions were scaring me. Right at that moment, I could feel that I was facing the impenetrable wall of fate. Even so, I had nothing to be scared of.
じゃあリカちゃんは何がいい？リカちゃんの提案する他のゲームでいいよ。
They accepted my suggestion and gave up on the fishing game so easily. That's right, I used to be much more aggressive before. But I became so tired and bitter and mean. I gave in to fate, but I'm not going to yield anymore. Keiichi taught me that. He didn't have any memories from his previous life, but Keiichi was still Keiichi. He'd never give in to fate.
久しぶりに運命と戦おうという気力が充実するのを感じるわ。やる気があれば、ものの5分でだって運命は変えられる。それが2週間もあるんだもの。今回はこれまでとは違う。もっともっと運命と戦ってみせる。頑張りましょうなのです。
In contrast to my motivation, Hanyu was wearing a sad expression. What's happening?
そっか。おじさんの店の手伝いってんじゃ仕方ねえな。
ささやかなお店だけどね。でもさ、特売やれば主婦が殺到するの常識で読めないのかね。店員足りないのに卵1パックを一人様1点限り10円なんてやるな。
As we were getting ready to move on to the next stage, Mion got a call from work. This was fated to happen too. If I was still feeling depressed, I would have been disgusted with the situation. But after learning what it felt like to change fate, I was in a good mood. Keiichi and Mion seemed like they kept regretting that they were unable to settle the match. They really are such good friends.
本当にあの2人は仲がいいね。仲良しさんすぎてレナは焼いちゃうよ。はお。うちのクラスには圭一さんと近い年の男子がいませんものね。圭一さんにはちょうどいい男友達の感覚なんじゃありませんの？それでもみーちゃんは女の子なんだよ。男の子にはなれないよ。それは分かってますけど、こうしていると仲のいい男子同士にしか見えませんわね。
Rena and Satoko enjoyed the lingering excitement of the day as they watched Mion and Keiichi happily goof off. The next moment, the owner came out from the
み
store.
んな今日は本当にありがとう。おかげでイベントは大盛り上がりだったよ。
He was holding 4 paper bags in his hands. I remember he gave us gifts as a reward for today. I think there were dolls inside.
大したものじゃないけど、これ 今日の
吉郎おじさん、私にはないの？おだちん。
Who's giving them only to us. Mion didn't get anything because she's a family member. That's what happened last time too.
あらあら。
Someone give it to Mion! Satoko let out a cheer of joy as she saw a cute doll inside of her bag. Rena reacted the same way.
これかわいい。お持ち帰りしていいの？本当に？
ってことは俺のもかな。お、なんだかやたら可愛いのが出てきたぞ。
Keiichi got a gorgeous, expensive-looking doll. It was by far the best one. It was adorable even to my eyes. Satoko, Rena, and Mion were feeling the same way.
ケイちゃんには一番似合わないのが出てきちゃったね。
Mion started making fun of him right away. She was only saying that because she was jealous that Keiichi got a doll that she really wanted.
なんつうのか、プリティっていうかキュートっていうか可愛いのは認めるんだが、着せ替え人形はちょっとな。
ケイちゃんが持ってたら確実に明日から変態扱いだね。うん。
Mion just can't be honest with herself. It was obvious that she was trying to make him give up the doll so she could have it herself. She should just admit that and ask Keiichi for it. But that's a cute side of Mion. I bet Keiichi can never understand that. Hehe. Keiichi can't keep the doll after receiving that much bullying from Mion. He was thinking about who he should give it to. Probably didn't want to give it to Mion. Time froze for a moment. Hanyu whispered something in my
リ
ear.
カ、覚えていますですか？ええ。
I remembered that Keiichi's insensitive decision eventually caused a fatal ending that was fate. Keiichi was internally thinking that he should give the doll to Mion. She was the only one who didn't get anything, so it would be natural for him to give it to her. But the hesitation he was feeling was because Mion was such a close friend to him. He'd been treating Mion as if she was a male friend. But it would be weird to give a doll to another boy. He was afraid that if he gave the doll to Mion, he would start looking at her as a girl from that point onward. He wanted to continue his friendship with Mion without thinking about the difference in gender. He didn't want to ruin the relationship they had at that moment. That's why he couldn't give the doll to Mion. Even though she was the only one without a doll, he felt so hesitant. Of course, that was only how he felt. Mion didn't agree. In actuality, she wished he would treat her more like a girl. I walked closer to Keiichi so I could talk to him. If Mion heard me telling Keiichi to give her the doll, she would resist taking it. I had to make sure that no one but Keiichi could hear me. I also had to make this very quick. I poked Keiichi in the back.
Huh?
Keiichi, the person who really wants that doll is the one who's bullying you the most about it. I was going to say that, but Keiichi opened his mouth first even before I could say anything to him.
ああ、わかってるって。
I hadn't had said anything to him yet, but Keiichi told me that he knew. I felt confused not knowing what he just meant. He turned around to face Mion, smiling mischievously.
ミオン、俺が持ってたら変態扱いなら、こりゃ誰が持ってりゃ変態扱いにならないんだ？ん？
そんなことは知らないよ。まあお人形なんて男の子の持つものじゃないよねって言っただけだしさ。
ほう。じゃあお前が持てば万事解決じゃないか。
Now, Keiichi's not aware. He's just like... Basically, ever since Rika said she guesses fate and everything is fated, I think he's just being a contrarian and thinking things like an extra step to like do things as he wouldn't do.
ほれ。
Oh my god! She got the doll! Keiichi tossed the doll to Mion as if passing her a basketball. As if forcing her to carry his bag or something. Mion's face quickly turned red. Feeling shy, Keiichi turned away from her. That was surprising. He got my message just by getting a tap on his back. Was Keiichi always that smart? This one tap was all it took. I don't think he would have done the same in a previous life. This was just a small incident, but this world is definitely different from the previous one. Or could it be? Perhaps he would have given that doll to Mion even if I didn't poke him in the back.
以前の世界の記憶を受け継いでいる。まさかそんなことあるわけがないのです。
I know for a fact that he doesn't have those memories, but there might be something imperceptible somewhere inside his heart. He might remember some of the regrets he felt in the previous worlds. That's why he strongly felt he should be giving the doll to Mion this time. After repeating so many lives, I'm the only one who can even notice the slight growth of his. But I see it. It's clearly visible to me. Mion, having turned red, insisted that the cute doll would be much better fit for Rena. Her attitude made it clear that she really wanted the doll, but couldn't be honest about it.
だからさ、おじさん、こういう可愛いお人形はさ、ちゃんとした可愛い女の子に渡した方が似合うと思うんだよね。私みたいな男女に渡してもほら、人形の方がかわいそうっていうか、
欲しいくせに顔に書いてあるじゃねえかよ。
違う、書いてなんかないよ。嘘つき、意地悪。
Mion shook her head with an embarrassed look, pretending she wasn't interested in the doll. Everyone here knew that she wanted it. We all looked at Mion with big smiles on our faces.
おいおい、別に女の子じゃないと人形は渡せないとか、そういう考え方じゃねえぞ。こいつは俺と今日の部活で熱い睨み合いをしてくれた親友への贈り物なんだぜ。
そうなの？ケイちゃんは男の子の友達にも人形を渡すわけ？
まあ確かに選べる範囲があるならわざわざ人形は選ばねえな。でもよ、男の世界じゃ相手に悪意がない限り贈り物は拒まねえぜ。相手の気持ちなんだからよ。変に断られると。
じゃあその女の子でなくても人形を受け取ってもいいんだ。
Everyone thought Mion's reaction was hilarious. Rena couldn't stop chuckling. Satoko and I burst out laughing too. Mion, having realized she was being laughed at, got even more embarrassed.
男が仲間に送ったもんだぜ。大事にしなかったら承知しないぞ。
おじさんがこの人形が欲しいからもらうんじゃないよ。ケイちゃんが仲間に送るって言ったから、ケイちゃんの顔を立てるために受け取るんだからね。
Anya was cracking up too. She was laughing in a loud voice, knowing that no one could hear her anyway. But was this really a good way to resolve the problem? I thought that Mion's issue in the previous life was that she wanted Keiichi to treat her like a girl. She got the doll, but Keiichi still wasn't treating it that way. Still, Mion looked very happy. Maybe it wasn't a big deal after all. I'm sure that Mion will take that doll with her to bed tonight. She'll kiss it goodnight too. I could bet on that. It was written all over her face.
ようやく受け取ってくれたぜ。人形1個渡すのに手間のかかるやつだぜ。
Keiichi turned around to face us, smiling bitterly.
ケイチくん100点満点かな僕もそう思いますです。あの意地っ張りのミオンによくお人形を渡せましたです。ミオンさんも笑っちゃいますわね。欲しいってあんなに顔に書いてあるのに痩せ我慢なんかしちゃって。
違いねえな。
こらおじさんの陰口を言ってるでしょ。こら
みーちゃん、バイト急がなくていいの？遅刻しちゃうよ。
もう覚えてなよ。
Mion seemed like she wanted to stay longer, but after looking at her watch, she started heading to work. Everyone was wearing smiles on their faces. Today was such a fun day. Everyone had lots of fun and no one was hurt. I repeated the same day so many times before, but this time something was different. It's like I rolled a die and I got a 6, and then rolled it again and got a 6 again. I don't know if this was just a lucky coincidence or it was meant to be. It's as if the god of fate is celebrating my motivation to fight against him. You know what the worst part is? Knowing that there's another chapter, so surely everything's about to go wrong. Good times with Oya Shiro-sama. What the fuck? I was watching TV with Satoko and Hanyu after eating dinner. It was a variety show, and the performers were making the audience laugh. We were laughing too.
ざまあのでもとっても痛そうなのです。みーパ
While the three of us were enjoying ourselves, in reality there was only Satoko and me in the room. I'm the only one able to see Hanyu. Satoko can't see her at all. Hanyu responds every time Satoko says anything. Satoko can't hear her, but Hanyu still responds to her when she's in a good mood. It's like she's answering a question asked on TV. You could even compare it to a playing house. She started playing this game with other people because she can't communicate with anyone else but me. Hanyu always attends her club meetings and has a good time there too. If she could communicate with my other friends, she would have been a good match for us. But I don't want to hurt her feelings by thinking about that. The story of the miracle written in the old scriptures is true. If it's really Hanyu who performed it, she's someone who had tremendous power long ago. But now she doesn't have any spiritual power and I'm the only one who can even see her. Hanyu has never told me how she lost her power. I just have to assume that her spiritual power diminishes over time. There's a legend in the Furude family that says that Oyashiro-sama will be reborn if a girl is born to the family 7 generations in a row. With my birth, Hanyu was finally able to communicate with a human for the first time in centuries. Does that mean that Oyashiro-sama has returned? The villager's image of Oyashiro-sama doesn't quite match up with that of Hanyu. Hanyu is Oyashiro-sama? Especially when I see her lying on her belly and watching TV with Satoko. Yo, maybe it ain't too bad to get cursed by Oyashiro-sama. She's kinda cute. Alright. Well, chat. Well. Well. Yeah, what's the button for console? On CS? Tilda? It's not. It's not working. You need to turn it on? How do you turn it on? Oh, it's the home button for some reason. Okay. Got another fucking tiger tooth. Seriously? Factory new tiger tooth again. That's okay, Chad. This is still 280 bucks. I didn't really lose any money, but bro, we really just kind of just got like basically broke even. What the fuck, man? Oh, we literally just broke even, man. Well, at least we didn't lose money, I guess, is the positive here, right? Yeah, it's about 270, so We lost like a little bit of money. We lost like 50 bucks. Yeah, but bro, fuck this shit, man. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Never lucky, man. Never lucky for the big things. Always lucky on useless shit. Can I just be lucky for the big shit, man? Not gonna do the other ending? What do you mean the other ending? You mean the other tip? I already did both tips. That other tip we did yesterday. The other day. Alright. Well, chat. That's gonna be it for us today. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I'll send y'all over to Genazad. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye. The multiple choice ending? Nah, maybe. I don't know.